and I've got a review for you about a product that I found on a site called appsumo.com. If you're not familiar with AppSumo, it's a site where you can get usually lifetime deals on products, and I've been picking up a bunch of different products on there lately. One of them that I picked up about a month ago was called Livewebinar. And Livewebinar is a lifetime deal for a webinar streaming software. Now, there's some things I like about it and don't like about it. I'm really not going to make much sharing this. I think you get $10 a sale for referring a new customer to AppSumo, so I'm not really making a bunch of money pitching this to you. However, I want to share with you the deal because I do think for some people this could be a really good choice for them. For others, maybe isn't something that's going to be something you want to use. But for the right person, this could make or break their business. Now, if you're not familiar with webinars, it's basically you can do a presentation or like a live streaming call like this for a bunch of people, and with Livewebinar, you can get codes ranging from allowing you to have up to 100 attendees to up to 500 attendees, depending on how many codes you buy. It's $99 for a lifetime access code to Livewebinar, and each additional code you buy is $99. Right now, there's only 25 hours left in their sale. It's been up for, I don't know, maybe a month or so on the site. I picked it up pretty early on, and I did try it out a few times, and then yesterday I decided, you know what, I'm going to get a bunch of codes for this because I can see it being useful for my needs, and I think for the right people in my audience, this could be right for them. So basically, you have a cloud-based webinar solution which you can watch these webinars on or participate in these webinars in any platform. You don't have to install or download anything, which is really nice. And you can integrate these leads with your customer relationship management tools or your autoresponder tools. It's really good for people that have sales and marketing stuff, or they want to engage with their customer audience and help them out. Like, let's say maybe you want to do a coaching program. Well, you could do webinars as your coaching product, and then you could teach to hundreds of people using Livewebinar, and you only have the expense of investing in the webinar software once, which is not the case when you use GoToWebinar. I'm going to share with you the plans and pricing for GoToWebinar in a little bit here to see how it compares to Livewebinar. So on the website, there should be a link next to this video. You can read all about Livewebinar. I'm going to scroll down here and kind of share with you how the plan works, and then I'm going to log into my Livewebinar so you can kind of see how the whole system comes together. So you get lifetime access. You have a 60-day money-back guarantee. I've done refunds on AppSumo. It's like a one-click. You don't even have to tell them what reason. So if you don't like it, just click the button and get a refund. They've been really quick about giving refunds. This is only available to new users of Livewebinar that don't have an existing paid account. There's marketing automation tools built in, like it can send follow-up emails to the people that you invite to your webinar or the people that sign up to your webinar. It can do advanced integration. I've done some stuff with Zapier. You can integrate with MailChimp and Aweber and Klaviyo and Slack and a bunch of other things. Hey Summit integration, that is working. I tried that out. That's one of the reasons why I stacked this up, because I have a Hey Summit plan. It allows you to do virtual summits. I've got a business plan or whatever on there. So I've got their highest end plan on Hey Summit, and I was like, hey, I can integrate Hey Summit with Livewebinar, and I can start doing virtual summits. And I think that would be a really profitable business model. It does take a little bit of work to do a virtual summit, but there's a lot of money to be made doing those, and a lot of things that you can do to help people with summits. They have evergreen and automated webinar features that are coming up. That's something that, as far as I know, GoToWebinar doesn't have yet. I know some other companies like EverWebinar do, but that's several $100s a year for access to that. There's a few other webinar platforms that let you do that, so it's really nice that they have that coming out. In this, they don't have it quite ready yet, but I'm sure it'll be ready in the next month or so. You get all future plan updates included. You can have up to 30 scheduled webinars at a time. So that's not like maximum amount of webinars that you can do with the thing. It's just how many you can have scheduled in the system at a time. So basically you could schedule up for like a month in a row of webinars that you're going to do, or you could do, let's say you're doing a summit, you could have a bunch of webinars over the course of 2 or 3 days, and so it lets you schedule 30 of them, and as your webinar completes, it removes that one and opens up another slot. You can have up to 10 planned permanently open rooms. Now the only way to have that many open rooms is to buy a bunch of codes, because they only let you have one room going at the time with each code, so I think that's a little bit confusing. So the single plan, this is the one I picked up about a month ago. You get all feature plans included. It's 99 bucks. You can have up to 100 participants. You can upload presentations or other documents into Livewebinar, and you have up to 500 megabytes. You can have up to 10 recorded hours of storage that stays on their system. You can easily download the recordings, so that's what I would recommend doing. It also saves the chat history, which is kind of cool. So you have the chat history too, so you can look at that. Let's say you're doing a webinar, and maybe it's a sales webinar and you're seeing some objections to stuff and people are asking questions. Well, now you know, oh, those are maybe some things I should talk about in my webinar to make your webinar better and have more sales. Your screen sharing and whiteboards, I can share that. YouTube and Vimeo player, you can broadcast your social media. So that was a cool thing. I had it broadcast to a Facebook group of mine using Livewebinar, and so I could have people attend via the Livewebinar interface, and those that didn't sign up, they could just view it in my Facebook group. So that was another way to get kind of a backup recording going, and to have it so everyone could see it. I knew if there was people having trouble getting on a live webinar, which I didn't have anyone report that they had trouble, they had another way to get on it. So I thought that was pretty cool. It was a way to try it out. You can do polls and surveys. You can do a call to action. So basically, let's say maybe you're pitching something in a webinar. You can send people to a link, and it'll open up in a new window while you're presenting, and they could order whatever you're talking about in that from that call to action. You have a vote manager, which I haven't played with, so I don't know what that does. The one downside that I don't like about plans ranging from 1 to 4 codes is it's 12 frames per second recording. So movies are usually 24 frames per second. So 12 frames per second is going to be totally fine if you're, maybe you're showing a web page or you're doing like a PowerPoint presentation. But let's say you're doing a live video like this where I'm on the screen and you see me, and maybe you have a guest and they're talking. That might look a little choppy. That's one thing I didn't like about plans 1 through 4. And I'll share with you what changes once you buy another code. So on 2 codes, you go from 100 to 200 participants. You go from 500 megabytes to 750 megabytes of storage, and you get 15 hours of storage versus 10. You get this presence manager, which I haven't played out with, breakout rooms, a chat branding tool, chat translations, and participant tracking. So chat translations, that automatically translates the chat as it's going on into other languages. I think they have several languages built in. I think they're based in Poland, so they have like all the European languages in there and a few others that it automatically can translate comments to. So if someone asks a question or you type something in the chat, it'll automatically translate to whatever the person's preferred language is set in their web browser. So that's kind of cool. The participant tracking, I think that tracks, how people are engaged. Breakout rooms, you can have people go into like a separate room and meet. I haven't played with that, so I don't know exactly how that works. The presence manager thing, that is, it'll check in like every few minutes and see if someone is actually in the room, and if they're not participating, it'll kind of pop up something to get them to click the thing. So let's say you have a webinar going on, and one of the downsides of webinars sometimes is people log on Facebook or Instagram or do something else in the background, and they're not really paying attention, and so this thing will like pop up on their screen to make sure that they're paying attention, and they go back into your webinar. And that might be enough to nag some people who go, I don't want to attend this webinar, I'm going to sign off. But other people are going to be like, oh yeah, I should be paying attention to this. Let me put down my phone. Let me, log out of Facebook. Let me focus on this. Let me get out of my email. and you're going to have higher conversions because of that. More people are going to be paying attention to you. So from 2 codes to 3 codes, you go from 200 to 300 participants. You get a 1 gig of storage and get 20 hours of recording. And like I said, you can download your recordings anytime you want. It adds live video streaming, high quality video inputs. So you can, I haven't played with this yet either, but you can add like a camera, like maybe a DSLR camera or like a HD video camera, and you can do that. So let's say you're doing, I don't know, maybe you're doing a live event and you've rented out a hotel room and you got hundreds of people at your event. Well, you could have people buy a live stream package to watch your event at home, and then you can stream from your video cameras at the event to them using Livewebinar. So I think that is a really cool thing. I think that opens up a whole nother revenue angle for people. I've seen a lot of events that are like, hundreds of dollars to attend, but you could watch the live stream for like $100, and then you don't have to travel, you don't have to fly, you don't have to get a hotel room. So if you're not interested in the networking aspect of an event, you get most of the benefits of going to an event for $100, $200, and you aren't spending thousands of dollars traveling there. So that's really cool. They have the ability to connect with Prezi for presentations. It does not give you a Prezi account, but that's kind of a PowerPoint-esque program that you can use. So let's change it to 4 codes. 4 codes adds up to 400 participants live, 1.25 gigs of storage, and 25 recording hours. And you're still at 12 frames per second, just so you know. And it also adds an ads banner and recording external storage. So the ads banner, you can have something show up during the webinar where people could click on at any time to like invest in whatever you're teaching. And that could be beneficial. I don't know. I haven't played with it. I don't know if that's going to be something that's I'm going to use much, but I know they have some more information on that on their site. So if you're interested in that, you could look into that first and see if that's something you're going to use. The external storage, I think this could be useful because you can automatically have it send your webinar recordings to Amazon S3, or it can automatically FTP upload them into your website so you have a backup of them. And that's definitely something that I'm going to integrate with this because I really like the idea of having multiple backups of my recordings, especially if it's anything I'm going to be selling to people. I want to make sure that I have the file somewhere because I don't want to have the risk of not having it. So that's something that I think is really cool. Now 5 codes, that adds, you can have 500 participants, 1.5 gigs of storage, and 30 hours of recording saved in your account. You can download them whenever. You go from the 12 frames per second to 30. So that's the full HD. You got the 30 frames per second. Your recordings are going to look the best with this setup. Now, one thing that I didn't like about this is you have to go into Livewebinar itself and select through a drop down. I can show you where that is, but you have to select in a drop down to go from the 12 frames per second to the 30 frames per second and click save, and then it should automatically do that for every single one of your webinars in the future. But that is something to make a note of. I've noticed that several people were complaining about that inside the AppSumo page for this, and I wanted to just address that so everyone knows that that is something to do, that you need to do that, otherwise you're not going to see an improvement in your recordings or your live streams. It also adds the ability to manage 20 sub accounts. I'm not quite sure what the benefit of that really is. Maybe if you're a large company and you bought a bunch of AppSumo codes, then you could have one like master account that could manage everything, and then you could have sub accounts or businesses, like let's say you have a sales team and a marketing team and I don't know, a customer support team or something. You could have a couple different accounts that way and use AppSumo or use Livewebinar for that. I don't know. I think for most people that's overkill. Now I bought 6 codes, and you might be wondering, well, how did you buy 6 codes? Well, I already had one code that I bought earlier, like a month ago, and then I came back yesterday and bought 5 codes. And the reason I did that is for each additional code that you buy, you get to increase your concurrent sessions by 2, or you can increase by 100 people per code. So I think to I think the maximum amount you can do is having up to 500 attendees because I didn't see the option to add more codes for that. So I increased it up to 500 attendees. And then I decided, I might want to have a couple additional sessions, especially once they add the evergreen and automated webinars. I may want to be able to have 3 sessions going on at a time because I'm not going to have to be there for those evergreen or automated webinars. And I can have the system automatically running and doing that for me. And so I was like, well, maybe 3 sessions of this would be really good. So I added another code. Now I could add another code onto that if I wanted and get 5 sessions, or basically I think you can add you can buy basically 10 codes if you wanted, which would be basically $1,000. I'm probably not going to do that, but you could, and you could have 10 sessions going on at the same time. So you could have those 10 permanent rooms. You could have up to 500 attendees in each room. You could have, the automated and evergreen webinars running. I mean, that's kind of overkill, but I do understand how some people might find that useful, especially if you've got a lot of webinars in mind and a lot of things, you got something ambitious going on that you want to share. Now let me, compare and contrast the price on this just so you know how this works. So I mentioned it's $99 to start with this. You can get the 100 people that you can present to live at a time with this. I mentioned that I did it where I've got 5 codes, so I can do to 500 people at a time. I got the 30 frames per second, and I added an additional code for being able to do the concurrent sessions. So I've got 495 plus 99 invested, which is 594. That's what I've put. That's my lifetime amount that I've invested in live webinar. I won't have to spend another dime on live webinar. But let's compare and contrast that with GoToWebinar. So I'm on GoToWebinar's page, and if I wanted 100 participants, it's $109 a month for GoToWebinar, okay? If I did an annual plan, it does drop down to $89 a month, but 89 times 12 is $1,068. If you're going to just do GoToWebinar, you might as well just buy live webinar at 10 codes, for instance, times 99, which would be $990, and it would still be less money than the lowest plan of GoToWebinar. So I think that's pretty interesting, especially when you factor in, this adds live webinar has stuff that GoToWebinar doesn't have. I'm sure there's some things in GoToWebinar that they have too, but look at this. So 500 participants, that's $259 or $249 a month, billed monthly. So $249. Let's say you did that for a whole year, for instance, that's $2,988. Now let's say you did the annual discount even. Okay, so $199 times 12, that's $2,388. I could buy a live webinar and probably everything else on AppSumo right now and spend less than what GoToWebinar costs. So that's something to bear in mind. I think this is a really insane deal for the right person. For someone just starting out and they don't want to do webinars and they're afraid to get on camera and stuff like this, don't buy this. This isn't for you. But if you think that, boy, I want to be a coach and I want to train people and coach people, or I want to have webinars and have guests on and they sell stuff, or I want to sell stuff from the stage on a webinar, I think this is a really good opportunity. It's a really cheap price. You can start for $99. I mean, that's just unheard of in the webinar space to get access to a tool like this for $99. Now, I do think it's worth getting the additional codes. Personally, I think the 500 codes and then maybe adding 1 extra code for concurrent is probably the sweet spot for everyone, but only if you can afford it. I don't want to stretch people on this. I know Christmas is coming up, but I think this is really interesting, and I think that for the right people, they can make a lot of money with this. Oh, another thing I should mention, there's no upsells. So that's a beautiful thing about AppSumo. They kind of throw in everything in the kitchen sink, and you don't have to buy any upsells for this. So that's one of the things I really like about AppSumo. So let me go into my account, and what we'll do is we'll kind of see how it looks. So here's the thing where you change your recorder settings. So only once you buy additional codes do you get the option to do this. So I went from the 12 frames per second to 30, and then it was at SD before, and I upgraded it to full HD. Here's the different languages they have built in, and then I did my bit rate from 0.5 megabits a second to 1 megabit a second. Now, if I wanted to change the layout of how the recordings are done, I can do this, and it just depends on which one I like. So that's a matter of trial and error. You can do Amazon S3 and an FTP server for this, so you can have additional storage backups. I haven't set that up yet, so that's just something to bear in mind. You have the streaming settings here, so this is another thing that you change if you get additional codes. So English is the language I selected because that's what I speak. Excuse me. And then I was originally at SD for the streaming settings. Now I'm at full HD. I went from 12 frames per second to 30, and my video bit rate went from 1 megabit a second to 2.5, so my videos will look a lot better. Here's the sub account feature. I don't really see much of a need for this for probably anyone that's watching this video. You have to have a pretty big company to benefit out of having sub accounts. Oh, storage. Let's go over that quick. So here's storage. And so this will grab my recordings. I could download these recordings if I wanted. I can look at my chat history, and here's the chat history, and I can download that and have access to that. I can do tests and surveys. So during a webinar, I can ask people, what do you think about this? Or what, how do you like this? And those types of things, and they can answer the question, and that can allow you, let's say you're doing a webinar, and you're like, do you consider yourself beginner, intermediate, or advanced on internet marketing? And if most people are saying beginner, well, you're probably going to dumb down some of the content in your webinar. If a lot of people are saying, oh, they're really advanced and they're making a bunch of money online, well, you're probably going to talk about some more advanced topics about internet marketing to help people succeed online because you're going to tailor your presentation to your room. You can look at your statistics and reports by event and session. I don't think I've even looked at this yet, so bear with me. You can choose it from each talk that you've done. And so I've been playing with it for a few. Let's see if I can do anything. Anything that had, you know what? I'm going to just click on this one and see because that one had a few people on. Event summary. So not sure what this will do. It's going to generate a report. Maybe we'll come back to that. We'll go to invite participants. So let's say you had an event, a webinar scheduled. You can do an email message here. And what I liked about this, I sent an invite out to like 1,000 people, and I did add many at once. I just put in their email addresses here, and it sent them an email from Livewebinar telling them that there was a webinar for them to attend. I didn't even have to send out a broadcast message or anything to my list. I could just upload a list of people, and it could send out a message to them. I could even put more description in here and links to other things. I could see people abusing this feature, so please don't. But I thought it was a really cool feature, a really cool way to get a bunch more people to join a webinar. You can add additional presenters. I tried this for one person that I had speaking. I'm not quite sure exactly what it all did, but I was able to add his name and picture and link to his Facebook and stuff like that. Registration forms. This is something so you can create registration forms to put on your website, and you can customize the look and feel of these so you can make it so people sign up for your webinar and it's a nicer looking page for them to sign up from, so that's nice. You can also have this so it connects up to your different autoresponder accounts. So I had it where it just asks for email address, and then I have it so it connects up to Aweber. MailChimp was another option. I think there's a few other ones. So if I add integration, you know what? I think I'll have to go to the integration tab to show you who they integrate with natively. Leads forms. I'm not quite sure what the difference between leads forms and registration form is. My understanding it was both for signing up for the webinar, so it seems a bit redundant. Maybe I don't understand it, but that's something. Manage registrants. I'm not sure if I should show you this page. I think it's going to show you people that are registered for different calls. So like here's one. I had over 100 people registered for that one. Most of my other webinars have me just been like testing out features. So integration, marketing automation here. This allows you to basically click a button. Ooh, they've added another way to do it. Cool, this is new. Sorry, sidetrack. So they have MailChimp, Campaign Monitor, Fresh Mail, Constant Contact, iContact, Sales, Manigo, I'm not familiar with that one, Active Campaign, Klaviyo, Aweber, and Platformly as different like email and CRM integrations that you can use. They also connect through Zapier and Integromat. So I haven't used this one, but I've heard of it. I think it's cheaper than Zapier. Let me open that up. I think that's pretty low price. Oh, I think it's just going to ask me to log into my account. Yeah, it's going to have me log into the Integromat. Well, whatever. Anyways, that is something you can suggest automations for them. If you need help, you can reach out to them and get help. I did connect it up through Zapier, and then I was able to get leads to go onto a MailWiz list that way. So that was a way to do it. Aweber is working now. I had a bug earlier and Aweber wasn't working, but it is working now. I haven't tried it with MailChimp because I don't really use my MailChimp account, but I do have a MailChimp account, so I did connect it up there to see if it could see the different list names and stuff like that. I don't have a Constant Contact or Active Campaign or iContact account right now. I don't have accounts with any of those other providers right now. I have in the past with a few of them, but I don't have them right now. So they have the Zapier app. I can show you kind of how that looks. So Zapier is a thing to do cool like workflows and connect different apps together without having to program. It's really slick. I love Zapier. So you can basically accept the invite and build a Zap. And so you know what? I'm going to share this Zap that I did. And so this is a Zap I did where someone registers on Livewebinar, okay? And then I did a webhook through Zapier, and basically it posted the information to my MailWiz list, and so I could get leads to join MailWiz. So this is a sneaky tactic, but theoretically, you could do a list, or you could do a webinar, and you could add people onto an Aweber account. You could add people onto a MailChimp account. You could add people onto a MailWiz installation or GetResponse or something all through Zapier. And so you could get people on multiple email autoresponders that way. It's a little black hat, but that is a way to make more money from your leads because you can mail those leads different offers, and they're unsubscribing from one autoresponder, not unsubscribing from 3 different autoresponders. So a little bit of a black hat tactic, but I know some advanced marketers will appreciate that and understand exactly what I'm getting at. Let's see, they've got like their API. I'm not going to share that. They've got a blog and stuff like that. So I think this is really cool. Like I mentioned, this is for someone that's more advanced and they want to either teach stuff or have guests online, and they're looking for a low-cost way to do it. It starts out at 99 bucks, so it's pretty affordable that way. But like I said, it's for the right person. It's not for a newbie. It's not for someone that's afraid to get on camera. They're not going to benefit from it. But if you like to get on camera and you want to be able to talk to up to 100 to up to 500 people, depending on how many codes you get, this is a really good deal. I mean, it starts at 99 bucks. It goes to 495. If you want 100 to 500 people, it expires in basically a day. It's got like just under 25 hours left to pick this up. I bought 6 codes, so I can have up to 500 people in each webinar, and I can have up to 3 webinars going on at any given time. Concurrently, they can be going on at the exact same time. I thought that would be useful, especially if I'm doing any summits, because I know there could be some, let's say I have a talk scheduled at 10 in the morning and I have another talk scheduled at 11 in the morning. I didn't want to have the problem of, oh my gosh, I've got the guy that's running a little late on the 10 o'clock one. Now what's going to happen to the 11 o'clock webinar? I thought it was good to buy an additional code to make sure that the other webinar could start and we wouldn't have any issues. And so that is one of the other reasons why I bought an additional code for Livewebinar. I think for the right person, this is a good fit. For a lot of people, it's probably not anything they want to do, But once again, look at how much it costs to do webinars through GoToWebinar. 100 participants, it's $89 a month. Live webinar, I pay $99. I've got it for life. I mean, it's kind of a no-brainer. The pro version, 500 participants, $200 a month, $199. Billed annually, that's $2,388 versus $495 one time. I mean, it's like pretty good deal. So click the link next to this video if you're interested in picking up Livewebinar. Like I mentioned, I'm gonna get like $10 if you guys sign up for this. So I'm not gonna like really push this real hard. I just wanted to share it with people because I think for the right person this could be useful. For most people, they're probably not going to want to do it. I'm assuming 99% of my audience has like zero interest in doing webinars, but I also know I have a lot of people on my audience that have a following. They have products for sale. They do interviews. They're comfortable being on camera. For that person, this is an awesome solution. For everyone else, you might want to think about it, but you got 24 hours and 56 minutes to make that decision. Click that link, get signed up, join Livewebinar right now.